Hey there, I'm Ranger Daniel here at Point Lobos State Natural Reserve. I was just preparing to do a virtual field trip program for a group of students, much like yourselves, who want to learn more about our marine protected areas, but more specifically our giant brown kelp forest, which you can actually see behind me growing in the ocean here. We can kind of see the tops of the giant brown kelp forest right here in Whalers Cove. Now you can also see behind me another forest on land. That's the Monterey cypress forest. And that's the second forest that we protect here at Point Lobos. And that's what really kind of makes it special. We have these two really interesting and thriving forests that support all kinds of diverse life. One on the land and one in the ocean. And that's what I do here primarily, is share with students like yourselves about these forests, what we do to protect them and how important they are here on our planet. What I'd like to do is share with you a little bit about the history of Point Lobos State Natural Reserve, what led to it becoming the state reserve that it is today. So come along with me and I'll share a few things with you. Great, cool, let's go. Point Lobos has a rich cultural history, as humans have played an important role here, starting with Native Americans who have lived in and around what is now Point Lobos for thousands of years. But it wasn't until the last 200 years or so that things really began to change. And it was during that time, the activities that happened that ultimately led Point Lobos to becoming a protected area, not only on land, but also in the ocean. I'll share with you a few of the things that happened during those last 200 years that led to the protection of Point Lobos. Beginning in the early 1800s, a group came from the north, from Alaska and from Russia, and they came hunting, and they were hunting the sea otter. They were hunting it for its very thick fur, its pelt. These sea otters were hunted almost to extinction here along the California coast during that time. Another thing that people came for to hunt were whales, and that happened in the late 1800s. And here I can just show you some of what's left behind. We have these whale ribs here, and they weren't hunted for their ribs. The whales were hunted for their blubber, and their blubber contained an oil that was cooked and used in lamps. That was before electricity. Now, the third thing that humans came for happened in the early 1900s, and they came for something called abalone. It's a type of animal. In fact, it's a flattened sea snail that lives right here in the giant brown kelp forest. I have a model of a red abalone right here. This is its outer shell, but what people were really after was the inside. This is its foot, but it's actually the meat of the abalone. This would be taken out of the shell and prepared, transported to a local restaurant where it was served, as well as canned right here at Point Lobos and shipped all the way around the world. Now you can imagine over that 200 years or so that the populations of the sea otter, some of the whale species like the gray and the humpback, as well as the abalone, hit all-time lows, almost to the point of extinction. And that's one of the main reasons why Point Lobos is a state reserve, as well as a marine protected area, to help animals like the abalone, like the otter, and many others build up their populations and have a healthy balance within our kelp forest ecosystem. Now, while we're doing everything we can to protect Point Lobos and the kelp forest, there are still some issues that are affecting the plants and animals there that we're going to need some help with. The first issue is when you come to a marine protected area, you want to make sure that you know the rules of that area. Here at Point Lobos, we've got them posted right here. You can see that this is a marine protected area. No fishing or collecting allowed. So what I mean by collecting is collecting shells or rocks from the beach. These beautiful shells will break down and return that calcium carbonate, which is what the shell is made up of, back into the ocean so other animals can use that to make their shells. So it's important that we leave those there and leave nature just as we find it. Now, the second thing that's affecting our plant and animal life in the kelp forest are plastics. Plastics washing down from rivers and storm drains and ending up in our kelp forest. Things such as this, this. But the main thing that I'm finding most of are balloons. So I'm glad I got a chance to take this out of the kelp forest before a fish found it, or a bird, or a marine mammal. This is totally preventable, students, and I bet you can think of many ways where we can prevent balloons from ending up in our oceans. The third concern that I have for the plants and animals of the kelp forest community is climate change. And what that is when we have rampant carbon dioxide that is being burned as fossil fuel in our cars and in our factories, that rampant carbon dioxide ends up in our atmosphere and in our oceans, changing the chemistry of our oceans and affecting the animal life there. Those three concerns, collecting, plastics, and climate change, are affecting our kelp forest community here. And I would like to be able to spread the word of awareness about what people can do about these problems. Well, students, it's time for me to get going. But I want to take this moment to thank you for listening to this brief story of Point Lobos, what's happened in the past that has led to our protection today as well as into the future. Now, I shared a lot of information with you, especially when I was talking about the concerns that I have for the kelp forest here. So I encourage you to do some research on those concerns. All right, students, it's Ranger Daniel saying goodbye for now. And thanks again for helping spread the word about some of these concerns here at Point Lobos.